If you look above your heads there, you're going to be able to see our animal spotting guide. Now, we're probably not going to be able to see all those animals out there today, but we usually have pretty good luck. Now, if you guys plan on taking any photos or videos while we're out there in our safari, just make sure you hold on to those cameras tightly, as the reserve does not allow us to stop for any items that are dropped out of the truck. I would also recommend you set those cameras to an action setting, because we're going to be moving throughout most of our safari, and because we're going to be moving, I do ask that you guys please remain seated throughout our safari and don't stand up for any reason. Now, this first area of the reserve we're entering into is known as the Little Aturi Forest. And the animals here in the forest do a really good job of blending in with their environment. What it does look like, the first animals we're going to be able to see are out here on our right and left hand sides. On the left, you're going to see the saddle-billed stork, and on the right, you're going to see the okapi. Now, the saddle-billed stork, they can reach a height of 5 feet, have a wingspan of about 9 feet. Now, although they can't vocalize like a lot of birds can, they still communicate with one another by rattling their bills around. And the okapi out there on the right, because of his stripes, a lot of people think that he is a relative of the zebra. But actually, the okapi is the only known relative to the giraffe. Like the giraffe, the okapi has a long, prehensile tongue, which just means it can use its tongue to grab things like leaves from trees. Now we are also approaching an animal watering hole here on our left-hand side, which is usually a pretty good place to spot an animal or two. There are some greater kudu in the bushes on this hill on our right-hand side. Those are going to be the light gray deer-like animals. You can tell that they are all females because they don't have any horns. Only the males of the greater kudu can grow horns. And if you look on your right-hand side on the top of the hill, hiding in the bushes, there are some almost orange animals with some horns on their heads. Those are the bongo hiding up there. Now, the bongo, they are also known as the ghosts of the forest because they're hardly ever seen. So, if you can spot some bongo up there on your right-hand side, now you can say you saw some ghosts while you were on Kilimanjaro safaris. And if you guys ever spot something that I don't, feel free to let me know. Sometimes I do have my eyes on the road to keep us from crashing. You're welcome. So I can miss things from time to time. If you look up there on your left-hand side, though, you are going to be able to see a black rhino up there. Now, the black rhino, it can reach a weight of 3,000 pounds and run at a speed of 35 miles per hour. Unfortunately, there are only about 5,000 black rhino left in the entire world due to poaching. But now we're going to go ahead and head on out of the Little Aturi Forest. And it looks like we're heading towards Safi River. Now, Safi River is a pretty large body of water. So there's sometimes some pretty large animals that can be found here. We'll keep an eye out. Now, it does look like there are some Nile hippopotamus in the water out here on our left-hand side, and they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes, so keep an eye out for any dark shapes you might notice in the water. The birds here on this island on our left-hand side are the pink-backed pelican, and the pink-backed pelican get their name from the fact that their backs will turn pink during mating season. It also looks like there's a baby hippo there in the water, along with this bloat, and that is what a group of hippos is known as, a bloat. Now, hippos are excellent swimmers, but they don't like to swim. As you can see from that hippo at the bottom of the water there, what they prefer to do is to sink to the bottom of the water and then walk or run along the water's bottom. Now, it's still pretty early in the day, but later tonight, after the sun sets, these hippos are going to become more and more vocal. And a hippo vocalization is known as a wheeze honk. And hippo wheeze honks are about as unique as your and I's voices. Some will wheeze before they honk, some will honk before they wheeze, and some, they'll just honk. And if you keep looking out on your left-hand side, the next animals you can see are the Nile crocodile. Now the Nile crocodile, they do have very powerful jaws, but they don't just use those jaws for catching prey, it also makes them excellent parents. They've been seen to rattle their eggs around in their mouths to encourage the little ones to hatch. But now we're heading away from Safi River. And from what I can tell, it looks like we're heading towards the African savanna. Now the African savanna does stretch for hundreds and hundreds of miles. So it's probably where we're going to spend the majority of our 2-week safari. And it is home to some of the world's largest and most famous animals. But before we see any animals, if you look out on your right hand side, you're going to be able to see a baobab tree. Now, the baobab tree is also known as the upside down tree due to the fact that its branches look like roots about 9 months out of the year. For a baobab tree to be that size, it has to be at least a couple thousand years old. And now we have entered the African savanna. Now it looks like the first animals we're going to notice out in the savanna are going to be the Ankoli cattle, which are going to be these large cows with the super large horns on their heads, as well as the Maasai giraffe. Now the Ankoli cattle, they are the only domesticated animals you'll find on the reserve. The large horns on top of their heads are hollow, and they're comprised of a honeycomb structure that circulates blood to the top of their heads to help keep them cool in the savanna heat. And any giraffe that we see out and about on the savanna today are going to be Maasai giraffe. And what separates them from other subspecies of giraffe is that they have messier and darker colored spots on their coats. It also looks like there is an animal den on our left-hand side here, and it looks like that's the den of the African wild dogs. You can see them laying down there. Now, the African wild dogs, they're also known as the painted dogs. Now, don't let their cute little cuddly faces fool you. They are the #1 most successful predators in all of Africa. The reason they're so successful is they hunt in packs of 15 to 20 dogs, and they will chase their prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Now you're also going to see some dark brown animals with some long sharp horns on their heads out here on our left hand side. Those are the sable antelope, one of the only antelope species to actually fight back against predators. They are the signature animals of the reserve, and the way their horns grow, kind of arched, deters lions from jumping onto their backs while hunting. We are also passing some termite mounds here on our right and left hand sides. And termite mounds, they have been recorded to grow up to 30 feet tall in height. And they are stronger than concrete. They're made out of termite saliva, dung, and mud. And you can see that Maasai giraffe walking around out there on the right hand side. Now, he is probably about to do what giraffes do best, and that's eat. Giraffes spend about 16 to 20 hours of their day just eating. That doesn't leave a lot of time for much else. So giraffes only spend about 30 minutes of their day sleeping. And they only sleep for about 2 minutes at a time. Now you might have noticed some bumps on top of the giraffe's head. Those were not horns, they're something called ossicones. And they're basically just skin-covered nubs that rest on top of their heads. When a baby giraffe is born, their ossicones are soft and they're flat on their heads. That helps the mother out a little bit during childbirth. And then as that baby ages, the cartilage will harden, it will turn into bone, and it will fuse into their skulls to become like the ossicones on the adult giraffe. Now we are going to pass the Ankoli cattle one more time here on our left-hand side. This cow's horns are a little bit in the road here. We're gonna see if we can ease past him here. Sometimes they think they're out of the way and they don't realize how wide their horns can sometimes reach. I'm gonna try and get by him pretty quickly there. Okay. Now you are going to be able to see the white-bearded wildebeest here on the right-hand side, and they do make one of the largest land migrations in the entire world. There's also Patterson's eland behind them, those tan animals all the way on the top there. Those are both females. The male would be a lot larger. He could reach a weight of 2,000 pounds, which does make him one of the largest species of antelope. And if you look here on your left-hand side, you are going to be able to see an entire tower of Maasai giraffe, including some baby giraffe as well. Now, when a baby giraffe is born, it is born at 6 feet tall, and it can stand up after just 1 hour of being born. Now, you might notice that these giraffes all have some pretty long necks, but it might surprise you to learn that they actually have the same amount of neck vertebrae that we do, which is just 7. And giraffes don't just have large necks, they also have very large hearts. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. A giraffe heart is about 1.5 feet long. Now, this rock formation we're approaching here is known as Monkey Point, and it looks like something pretty large passed through Monkey Point recently and toppled this tree on the right hand side over in half. We'll see if we can spot what could possibly be responsible for doing something like that. If you look out there on your right-hand side, you are going to be able to see a couple African elephant out there. Now, whenever we see elephant, one of the ways you can tell they are African elephant is their ears are shaped like the continent of Africa. Now, these two elephants here might be males, and the reason I say that is because it doesn't really look like they belong to a herd. Now, once male elephants reach adulthood, they will leave their herds and they'll go off on their own. However, they sometimes will form bachelor herd bonds with one another, which those two elephants there may have formed. But we're going to go ahead and head deeper and deeper into what I like to call elephant country. And we're going to see if we can get lucky and maybe spot a herd of African elephant. And I know this bridge might not look the sturdiest, but I promise we'll be fine. Now, it does look like there have been some elephants that have passed through here recently. One of the ways I can tell is from these tusk marks on the clay on the left and right hand sides. Now, elephants, they do like to dig their tusks in clay like that, gather it up and eat it. It is kind of like their version of them taking their daily vitamin. The clay is filled with rich minerals, which helps keep the elephants healthy. And it looks like a herd of elephants is out and about on the savannah today. And from all the elephants we've seen so far, you may have noticed that they do have these things called tusks that protrude out of their faces. Now, both male and female elephants do grow those tusks. And those tusks are made of ivory. So unfortunately, that does make both male and female elephants targets of poaching. And we're going to see this herd here, including a baby elephant on our left-hand side here. Now, if elephants ever look a little dirty to you, that's because although they do have a very thick skin, almost a couple inches thick, it's still super sensitive. So sometimes you can see them doing what that elephant is doing right now, throwing mud or dirt along their head and back. Now, that's like them applying a sunscreen. The mud helps protect them from the sun's harmful UV rays. It also looks like some of those elephants are eating right now, and that baby elephant is bothering its mother, trying to steal the food right out of her mouth. Not very nice, but that's okay. Elephants do eat about 300 pounds of food a day. And that's about the same amount of weight a baby elephant weighs the day it's born, 300 pounds. They also drink about 50 gallons of water a day, so a lot of the times you can also find them here at their watering hole. Now, we're about to see some birds here in this pond on our left-hand side, and these are the greater flamingo. And the greater flamingo, they are the largest and the lightest in color of the flamingo species. They are actually hatched gray, but after about a year of eating their favorite food, which is brine shrimp, their feathers turn